Welcome to Basketball Cinema, where we revisit the most important and iconic games in NBA history. My name's Jay, and today we're looking at Game 1 of the 2001 NBA Finals between the Philadelphia 76ers and LA Lakers. This is part 3 of our massive 10-part series here on the channel, looking at epic performances and playoff losses. For the third consecutive video, one of the teams that is featured in today's game has long been verified as a true NBA dynasty. And unfortunately for you prosperous Pennsylvanians watching, I am talking about the Lakers. In 2001, the Lakers were smack dab in the middle of one of the most dominant stretches by one team in NBA history. They had won the title the year prior in 2000 and were a perfect 11-0 against their Western Conference foes already in the playoffs. In fact, dating back to the latter stages of the 2001 regular season, the Lakers had won 19 games in a row. Just an absolute buzzsaw. Their opponent, meanwhile, had far less credentials and far less intimidation factor, but that didn't seem to matter at all. The 2001 Philadelphia 76ers equaled the Lakers with 56 wins in the regular season, but were fresh off 2 consecutive knock 'em down, drag 'em out series, going the full 7 games against the Raptors in round 2 and the Bucks in round 3. Playing 18 games to the Lakers 11 in the playoffs was surely a detriment to the 76ers, but they had clearly embraced the role of underdogs heading into the NBA Finals.
Big time underdogs. But that's what, that's what it's all about, man. You got so many basketball experts. The only guys that know is the guys on the floor. We got heart. We're gonna play with that first. Play with the talent second.
As you already know, that was the leader of this scrappy 76er team, Allen Iverson. For many people, Iverson's work in 2001 is viewed as one of the biggest individual carry jobs in NBA history, discounting the rest of the team as a whole. Probably thanks to people like me making these videos. Anyways, we'll dive into some crazy Iverson stats a bit later that do back up the idea that he did indeed backpack this Philly team for the most part, but it's always worth noting that in addition to their slender star who won MVP in 2001, the 76ers also boasted Defensive Player of the Year Dikembe Mutombo, 6th Man of the Year Aaron McKie, and Coach of the Year Larry Brown. Sheesh, Philly, save some hardware for the rest of us. Individual awards or not though, make no mistake, this was the Lakers series to lose. Everybody and their grandmother was either predicting LA to win or betting exorbitant amounts of money that they'd win. The Lakers were an NBA record minus 2,000 betting favorites to win the series. Just pure insanity. Led by their 7'1" giant of a superstar, the Lakers were a literal Goliath standing in the way of the Philadelphia 76ers in 2001. Good thing Allen Iverson brought his trusty sling and a rock. Here, I'll show you. The game began with Shaq doing ridiculous things. I mean, he missed, but my guy was over 3 spins, unleashing tight crossovers. What? Iverson was also off on his first attempt of the game, a deep 2. Shaq attacking early, getting great position down low and finishing over Mutombo. Aaron McKie won 6th man, but he was starting here in the playoffs for Philly. He connected on a corner 3 off the nice Iverson dime. Allen a couple more misses out the gates after collecting his own rebound. Iverson was finally able to score as he leaked out following a Kobe Bryant turnover. We last saw Allen Iverson on Basketball Cinema just a couple weeks ago actually, in a 2001 battle against Tracy McGrady. In that video, I dove deep on some wacky AI stats from that season, but you know what? Let's do it again. Why not? Earlier, I referred to the idea that Iverson carried the Sixers in 2001 to a degree we've basically never seen from an NBA star. The 2001 season featured AI winning the scoring title, leading the league in steals per game, winning the All-Star Game MVP as well as the regular season MVP. During the playoffs, he'd average a shade under 33 points a game. In the finals alone, he'd post 35.6 a game? Like honestly, what? If you're looking for specific proof of just how great a load Allen carried for these Sixers, he boasts the highest career usage percentage in NBA Finals history thanks to this series, as well the most minutes in a single NBA playoffs run in history at an astounding 46.2 minutes per game. Again, it's like, I don't know, what? AI is undoubtedly one of the most respected NBA legends among other legends, including the late great Kobe Bryant.
And I told him when I saw him here this weekend, I said, man, you don't realize how much you pushed me, and I don't think people nowadays realize how great you were as a player, how big of a problem you were for defenses.
The other member of the fearsome Lakers duo is also consistently complimentary of his former foe.
Iverson is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He's in the top 5 ever. And the reason why I say that because he's probably the only guy that takes a beating like I do. Never complains, He has so much heart for a little guy.
It was tough to hear, but Shaq's final line there was that AI has so much heart for a little guy. Very Uncle Junior of Diesel.
He's got tremendous moxie for his size.
Unfortunately for the Sixers, after Iverson got on the board, it was all Lakers for a stretch. Shaq ahead of the break, taking a feed from Rick Fox for the flush. Out of the triangle offense, Kobe would put the ball on the floor and facilitate Canadian Rick Fox this time with the triple. Horace Grant was an unexpected standout star in our video last week on the Bulls. As a member of the Lakers here, he popped and dropped a smooth 17-footer. Shaq once again doing his best Iverson impression off the dribble. He got hacked, he'd make 1 of 2 from the stripe. Biggest lead of the game for LA as they went up 13 on Kobe Bryant's first hoop of the game, a deep 2-point pull-up. Let's officially meet the earth-shattering duo who were at the peak of their powers in 2001 for the Lakers, Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. We last saw Shaq here on the channel as a member of the 2010 Cleveland Cavaliers playing alongside LeBron James. That was kind of like watching Robert De Niro in Dirty Grandpa. Thankfully today we're watching him in Taxi Driver. Shaq was a true raging bull in a china shop in 2001, following up his 2000 MVP season with a line of 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 blocks a game on 57% shooting. Diesel was all NBA and all defensive, finished 3rd in MVP voting, and was averaging 29 and 15 thus far in the playoffs. Talk about untouchable. Kobe meanwhile appeared on the channel a few months back in a 4-part series dedicated to his legendary career. Despite what common internet trolling would lead you to believe, Kobe was in no way carried by Shaq in 2001. They were a true 1A, 1B tandem. For the season, Bean would post a career-high 28.5 points and 5 assists per game, making all defensive and all NBA second team. In fact, prior to a late season injury which cost him 14 games, Bryant was actually averaging a shade under 30 points a game, flirting with Iverson for the scoring title. Shaq may have been the true engine powering this Lakers dynasty, but Kobe was an inseparable part in his own right, like the transmission maybe? I don't know cars, man. This was a bad metaphor. Just an outstanding little move here from AI, as in semi-transition, he attacked Kobe with an aggressive between the legs pullback dribble, stunning Kobe before hitting the jumper. Rick Fox was an animal in the first, with 10 points including that 3. Oh wow, I just realized I didn't even mean it when I was writing the script. Rick Fox is an animal. Well duh, his name is Fox, like what's... But Philly would go on a run of their own. Another signature AI moment, pulling the ball out from the paint to hit a tough fading buzzer beater. Dikembe Mutombo appearing in his 9,000th video here on my channel, finishing an awkward putback jam plus the foul. Iverson from 19 feet out hitting his 4th field goal of the game, again over Kobe. Allow me to interrupt this Philly run to show you this.
Shaq again, getting down.
Shaq making 7'2" Dikembe Mutombo look like a literal child on the court. That's fun. The MVP again working on Kobe from the wing. He was officially hot in the first with another jumper. Unfazed by the big stage, Allen with a casual behind the back pass to Eric Snow on the break, and one more free finish for the answer had Philly down just 1 point through a quarter. I played a clip earlier in the video of Kobe talking about his basketball relationship with Allen Iverson and how the two pushed each other. That account is basically identical to Allen's, who has lamented the fact he never built a personal relationship with Kobe, but the two had an inseparable attraction on the court.
I didn't have a personal relationship with him, but you know how killers respect killers. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. He knew who I was, I know who he is. He gave me that push, I gave it to him.
Killers respect killers. That's simultaneously haunting and very poetic. And to begin the second quarter, Iverson continued to push Kobe. Yet another pull-up mid-range over his outstretched contest. Rookie Raja Bell off the bench, stripping Kobe on one end before moving in transition and drawing the foul? Did y'all see that casual putback dunk by AI? That was super clean. Wow. Iverson taking a hit as he made his way into the trees. His miss was cleaned up by Mutombo, giving Philadelphia a 32-31 lead. The power of Dikembe was on display in full force.
Tonight with McDaniels. He got the step rejected by Mutombo. Mutombo with the rebound.
Impacting the game on both ends. Have I mentioned Iverson was relentless? Maybe like 13 or 14 times already? It was too true though. Getting hammered by Shaq on the drive, he'd make a pair from the stripe. Kobe was half a second too slow on the closeout. It was you-know-who splashing another midi. Allen running miles off the ball, cutting back door, taking a feed, and floating another one home. We finally got some more Kobe action, in a positive light anyways, as he sliced to the paint, flipping in a deuce. Down 5 now, the Lakers needed something.
They have been stunned here in the first half by the play of the Sixers. Shaq again getting done.
Poor Dikembe, man. Iverson terrorizing Kobe all over the court, looking like a young Troy Vincent, ball hawking for the steal and finishing at the rim. AI back on the drive, back to the free throw line, up to 27 points on the half after another pair of freebies. You know what? Let's just give Allen one more shot.
From the field, Iverson for three. Yes! Allen Iverson tearing the Lakers apart.
Yes, indeed, Marv Albert. 30 points on 11 of 24 shooting for Allen Iverson in the first half alone. Like, oh my word. Speaking from personal experience, going back to watch and analyze Allen Iverson is just a wildly interesting thing to do. The stat nerd in me always has a lot to chew on, both positive and negative, whenever I stumble upon his basketball reference page. During an 8-season stretch with Philly from 1998 through 2006, Iverson averaged 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.5 steals per game, winning 4 scoring titles along the way. In that stretch, he'd lead the league in minutes per game 5 times, establishing himself as one of the greatest volume scorers in the history of the NBA. But that volume also came at the expense of any form of efficiency. For example, Allen sports a career 45.2 effective field goal percentage and was well below league average in that metric each season of his career. But before you yell at me, I agree that in Iverson's case, efficiency numbers really don't tell the story. Every time I watch The Answer, the eye test reveals a player who was flat out relentless and without conscience, never thought twice about taking a shot even if he'd missed the prior 4 or 5, and that was his role. The 76ers didn't need Iverson picking his spots to ensure he shot a pretty percentage. He was their offense, and he never let up. In his book of basketball, Bill Simmons said of Iverson, quote, 50 years from now, I hope people realize that Iverson had better balance than everyone else, that he was faster and more coordinated than everyone else, that he took a superhuman pounding and kept getting up, that he was one of the all-time athletic super freaks. So basically, F analytics, Allen Iverson was truly one of a kind. Iverson's 30 first-half points had given the Sixers a 56-50 lead to begin the third quarter. A picture-perfect half-court alley-oop from Iverson to Jermaine Jones on the finish, Kobe with a super awkward-looking double-clutch jumper for 2, Allen immediately feeling the need to respond, matching with a deep J of his own, the MVP with an interior look this time, working past Derek Fisher, a tough finish over Shaq. A quick 6 now in the quarter for Allen, putting in a simple layup past O'Neal on the break. And sure, how about another one, giving the 76ers a 12-point lead?
Iverson, yes! Allen Iverson, 38 points!
Kobe, just one stop, man, please! I'm begging you! Now, the story of the first 2.5 quarters was clearly one Allen Bubba Chuck Iverson. Yes, Bubba Chuck. Basketball reference strikes again. But this one is indeed legit, as Allen was called that as a child after 2 of his uncles. Anyways, the story of the final 6 minutes of the third quarter, the big Aristotle. Down 13, Shaq would begin to abuse the non-Dikembe defenders, first smashing all over Matt Geiger inside, next time down with finesse, a lightning-quick turn and pop for 2. Now this one is just unfair. Somehow the biggest person on the planet snuck in between 3 76ers to corral an offensive rebound, putting down yet another dunk. Ty Lue in the game, he knew his role, passed the ball to Shaq and let him operate. Yep, pretty basic strat. Kobe finally getting involved, a sexy spin and finger roll. Diesel up to 14 points in the quarter, no clue how you could possibly defend that any better. Tough. Matt Geiger was low-key while Shaq was Hulk, but at least he did hit a jumper here to stop the bleeding. Good job, Matt. Shaq dunking all over another big white dude in a Sixers jersey. Fortunately, a foul was called first, but Shaq did make a pair. Kobe finally getting the better of Allen on defense, blocking a shot in the half court. That led to a missed shot on the other end by Rick Fox, but Shaq simply couldn't be contained. He'd make one more free throw in the quarter, as the 76ers lead was chopped all the way down to just 2. The fourth quarter of this game was, very, very ugly to start. Jermaine Jones off the Sixers bench would break a scoreless drought with a short-range jumper. Mutombo was back in the game, but Philly still needed to double Shaq, who kicked out to Brian Shaw for the triple. The answer for Philly coming courtesy
Iverson from way downtown.
A moonshot from AI. Moments later, Rajah Bell coming up with a steal and an acrobatic finish in transition. Mutombo for the second time this game, breaking out an off-brand skyhook for 2. Down 7, a big sequence for Ty Lue off the bench, beating Iverson to the spot for the steal. He'd finish on the break. Very next possession down, Lue would once again grab a steal after denying AI the ball.
Here's Lue shooting. Yes!
Unlikely indeed, Marv. Unreal stretch for the 2016 championship-winning Cavaliers head coach. Down to 6 minutes left in the game now. Aaron McKie with a confident 2-point pull-up and a 6-point lead. On the set play from the Lakers, Brian Shaw connecting with Shaq on the alley-oop over Mutombo. Allen Iverson simply couldn't get involved down the stretch, as Ty Lue was blanketing him each possession. 3.5 minutes left now. Look at Kobe using the pick from Shaq, rising into a silky mid-ranger to tie the game at 92. A chance to take a stranglehold on the game, both Kobe from the perimeter, then Shaq on the interior missing.
Now Eric Snow has come back in the game for Raja Bell. Remember now, Eric Snow makes big shots. So if they're going to trap and double team, he's been known to step up and hit big shots.
Oh, okay, sure. Thanks, Doug Collins, thanks. Iverson did indeed finally get single coverage with just over 2 minutes left, but his pull-up jumper fell very short. The dynamic duo connecting in the biggest spot for LA as Kobe carved his way inside, a wraparound feed to a dunking Shaquille O'Neal. Jack loves it, man. AI getting bottled on the ensuing possession, but he kicked to Eric Snow, who did in fact come up with a super clutch bucket. Okay, Doug Collins, good call, bro. A chaotic sequence as the 76ers took control with the game tied and the clock winding down. Iverson, before the double arrived, launched and missed, but a huge back tap by Mutombo. With another possession, Eric Snow couldn't get the ball to Allen, so he forced up a shot again and missed, but Dikembe on the glass once again, drawing a huge foul on Shaq. Now Mutombo in the playoffs was a 78% free throw shooter, so Philly had to feel good about— oh yeah, no, he missed one. Fortunately, all Philly needed was a single make so they could— oh yeah, no, he missed them both. A choke in the clutch by the big fella, but he was matched choke for choke by Kobe, who spun and turned the ball over. Philly took control with a chance to win it, and yeah, I don't even know what this possession was. If AI couldn't get the ball, they simply had no chance. So overtime, Allen Iverson had just one bucket in the fourth quarter and missed his 5th straight shot into OT with an off 3-point attempt. The Lakers going to Shaq in the post, he dropped in a patented righty hook. LA back with possession, this time it was Kobe with a super tough bucket, spinning into the lane. The Lakers were simply swarming. As Ty Lue cut Iverson's dribble off, the ball eventually made its way to Tyrone Hill, who missed an ugly jumper. Shaq found himself at the line once again. He'd make one of 2, giving the Lake Show a 5-point lead in OT. So let's just wrap this up, y'all, alright? Good game all around.
Can't find the shot, and then to the scoop! Roger Bell with a gorgeous move to bring the Sixers within 3.
Another unlikely hero, this time for the Sixers, Raja Bell. After a Shaq miss on the interior, Allen Iverson finally into the open court. He narrowly missed a potential and one, but he would make both free throw attempts from the line to get back to within 1 point. Ty Lue's offensive magic had worn off as he missed badly on a wild drive to the lane, and that miss was compounded on the other end by
the 76ers with the ball down by 1. Iverson, yes! Allen Iverson has given the Sixers a 101-99 lead.
That's why he's the MVP, man. Iverson up to 46 points in the game. You couldn't ever count this man out.
Iverson, bothered by Lue. Iverson.
How about that?
And steps over Tyronn Lue.
He did it. He did the thing. That's the shot. And it came with only 48 seconds left in the game. I definitely didn't remember that epic NBA moment. Super clutch and super necessary as well. The Staples Center crowd was absolutely stunned at this moment. Kobe, though, gave them something to cheer about momentarily as he clinically put home a spinning mid-range jumper. But remember what Doug Collins said on the broadcast just a few minutes ago?
3 on the 24. The winner by Eric Snow gives the Sixers a 105-101 lead.
My guy really called it. Eric Snow indeed made multiple huge shots when Philly needed them most. Shaquille O'Neal was akin to a Greek god in this Game 1, putting up 44 points and 20 rebounds for the Lakers, but somehow it wasn't enough. Allen Iverson posted 48 points, 6 assists, including a slew of clutch shots in OT, as he and the 76ers indeed felled the giant. There's certainly no quantifiable data to back up what I'm about to say, but F it, I'm just gonna say it anyways. There isn't another player in NBA history who's had their legacy boosted by one single game to the extent that this game launched Allen Iverson. I ran down a plethora of numbers in this video that are undisputedly great in terms of AI's career. There's no denying he boasts a Hall of Fame resume, but when you compare said resume to that of other greats from his era in the league, it's not head and shoulders better. Steve Nash, for example, 7-time All-NBA, same as Iverson, 5-time assist champ to Iverson's 4-time scoring champ, 2 MVPs for Steve, 1 for Allen. It's not an apples to apples comparison between the players, but you see where I'm going with this. Never in a million years, however, would any former player, fan, or analyst suggest Steve Nash is in the GOAT conversation or the top 15 to 20 players of all time. Yet those takes are frequently batted around with regards to Allen Iverson. I think for many folks, the memory of Iverson going toe-to-toe with Shaq and Kobe during the 2001 finals, taking a game off them when nobody else in the league could, dropping 48 points and showing unparalleled levels of heart, I mean, you can't help but respect it. This game forever cemented how folks feel about the great Allen Iverson. For each game covered here on Basketball Cinema, I'll be giving out 3 awards, beginning with the Clint Hawkeye Barton Award for Most Underrated Performer.
I don't care.
Which goes to Raja Bell. Bell rose to mainstream consciousness a few years later in his career as a member of the Steve Nash Phoenix Suns, but as a 24-year-old rookie in 2001, he played 20 minutes tough as nails for the Sixers in Game 1, including majority of the fourth quarter. He was tasked with defending Kobe Bryant and also contributed a big 6 points and 2 steals for Philly. The Rick Dalton Award for Most Recognizable Moment goes to this truly iconic shot by Allen Iverson.
Iverson, bothered by Lou. Iverson.
How about that?
And steps over Tyronn Lue.
Sometimes one play acts as the forever moment to encapsulate a historic NBA performance, and in the case of Iverson's 48 points in the finals, his step over Ty Lue is just that. It's such a legendary moment that AI referenced it during his 2016 Hall of Fame induction speech. Allen mentioned the play and how following the series, Ty Lue received a healthy payday from the Washington Wizards.
And I said, only reason you got that little $5 million a year is for running around after me. And the man looked at me and said what I would have said. Thank you.
And finally, the Mark Jackson,
with all due respect,
Award for Weirdest Moment in this game goes to the halftime show of the game, including U2 Live presented by Net Zero at the half. I'll be honest, there's nothing inherently weird about this moment, but it was a big stretch for U2, who'd go on to play a legendary halftime show at the 2002 Super Bowl. Also, U2 was founded in 1976 and they're still relevant to this day. Kinda just blew my mind when I looked it up, man. And that's it. The Philly 76ers beat the LA Lakers 107-101 on June 6, 2001. It was Allen Iverson's brightest moment in the NBA. Unfortunately, the Lakers would have the last laugh, winning the series in 5. If you enjoyed this episode of the show, please consider dropping a like down below, and if you can see yourself watching a few more of these in the future, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me as well. Do it. Just please, okay? Next week is part 4 of our epic performances and playoff losses series, looking at a player from my favorite childhood team. But until that one, my name's Jay, and this has been Basketball Cinema. Bro, every time I get to dig into Allen Iverson's career, I end up getting more respect for the man. Like, he was so small by NBA player standards, yet he played all the time, every single minute, taking every single shot. It's truly remarkable. Also in this game, what a joy it was to watch 2001 prime Shaquille O'Neal. I'm not sure, honestly, that I've ever watched a more dominant player. Like, the Sixers, they just couldn't stop him. It was truly unbelievable. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Another banger coming up next week here on Basketball Cinema.